Hashem to know. But the purpose of a test is actually to help us rise to a higher spiritual plane. And this is the meaning of the word Manasseh. Manasseh means a test, but also the roots in Hebrew, from the word Manasseh comes from the word nes, nes al hahari, which means something which is very high, a mast on a ship, or a high flag, or a banner on top of a hill, or a mountain. So the pasuk is saying the reason why Hashem did this is Manasseh, Hashem wants to lift you, to raise you to a higher spiritual plane. And one of the ways that you can reach this higher spiritual plane is by having a challenge, which is a test, and by overcoming the challenge. That's the purpose of the test. And basically, it means that there's certain potential within a person, spiritual potential, that it's dormant. It's there, but it's dormant. And the only way it's going to come out on the open, the only way it'll come out is when I'm being challenged, and then have to stand up to the challenge. In order to rise to that challenge, I'm going to have to take and access my deepest resources, and that will enable me to bring out those hidden potential. And that will help me rise to a higher plane. So it says in Chassidus that there are 5 kinds of tests. 5 categories of tests. One test is that Hashem tests us to see how much I'm ready to give up in order to fulfill His commandment. Like the test of the Akedah, where Rabbi Majeski was told to do a mitzvah, commandment, but he had to give up a lot in order to do his commandment. The same is with many tests. People have to lose a lot of money in order to do a mitzvah. Sometimes they have to lose a position in order to do a mitzvah. Sometimes they lose their job in order to do a mitzvah. Sometimes they lose honor, respect, a good name, whatever it may be. Hashem tests us to see how much I'm ready to do, how much I'm ready to go out of my way to do a mitzvah. Another category of a test is the reverse, is with an Aveira. There are things that are not permissible, and nevertheless they have very strong power of attracting the person to do it, and the person has to resist the temptation. So that's another kind of a test. How much I'm able to resist temptation, strong temptation. And the stronger temptation is, the bigger the test. Then there's another kind of a test where, unfortunately, things happen to a person that are painful, that a person's suffering, whether it's financially, whether it's health-wise, whether it's spiritually. And like they lived in the desert, they had no water, so they began to complain. They were missing this, so they're complaining again. So we're being tested to see how will I act towards Hashem under those difficult circumstances. And there's another kind of test, which is the opposite. And that is, how will I act towards Hashem when He's being extremely good to me? What kind of test is that? Hashem wants to see how will I express my gratitude when He does something positive for me. Am I, because of this, going to learn more, daven more, do mitzvahs in a better way, showing Hashem my gratitude for the favors that He's doing for me? Then there's a 5th kind of test. And that is a test where Hashem tests us with our emunah. Like the test of this parshat. A person comes along, makes the impression as if he's a prophet, and then he tries to mislead me, and I have to be strong in my emunah, and in spite of everything, I still believe what Hashem said, and I stick to it, even though this looks so convincing, and I don't allow it to happen. Moshe Rabbeinu said he's going to be back after 40 days, but it looks like he wasn't returning, and unfortunately many people participated in making a golden calf. That was also a test in emunah. Hashem told us, Moshe told us, I'm coming back, and here we were being tested. Are we going to trust what Moshe Rabbeinu said? Another example of this is the Akedah. Even though we just said the Akedah was something else, but there's another interpretation that the Akedah is also testing emunah. Hashem told Abraham Avinu that you're going to have a child who will be a father of a great nation, and then He tells him, bring him as a sacrifice. That means Hashem is not being consistent here. So what was being tested more than anything else was Abraham's emunah, that he didn't doubt for 1 second that everything Hashem says is true, and one thing doesn't contradict the other. So these are the 5 kind of tests, and the purpose of these tests is, each one is to sort of raise us in a different way, and of course, based on all the Rebbe's sichos, The test we're dealing with now, the biggest test of our generation is the test in Amunah. The Rebbe told us Hagi Zman Gulaschem, and in fact it's exactly 20 years from Shabbos Mabor from Elul, when the Rebbe said it the first time. The Mashiach's coming is imminent, and all the changes in the world and all the things that are happening, especially in that area, the Persian Gulf, which includes Iran, which is probably a continuation of that medrash. This is all because Mashiach is coming, and there are a lot of questions. How come this is happening? How come that's happening? How come it's so many years? All these questions are there to test our Amunah. This is the biggest test of the times. And this is the parshat of the week that gives us the strength to stand up to a test and to realize it's only to bring out more depth of our potential. And I think we can say to the Eibishter, wow, you tested us enough. 20 years, it's plenty of time. We passed the test. We have the Amunah. We should be zeichet to see this Galus, whatever, taking as mamish, and the end of the Galus now.